Results may vary. Um, Past performance is not a guarantee of future performance. High level does not guarantee that you will experience financial gain or generate revenue. Results will vary. Here's what I just want to say on as a cliff note to this. Um, when you do ads, you're investing money. It's important if you're new to ads that you are putting together a budget for your ads, that you are reading the instructions carefully for the ads, because you're using high level as the ad tool, but you're responsible for the ad budget and like the payment through whether it's Meta or Google, whichever one you use within the ads manager. Another thing I want to mention here is that High Level does not charge you any additional surcharge per ad spend. So you're paying your monthly fee with High Level for the feature, and then you're paying the ad spend directly through the Google vendor in this example here. So they have their own terms
Mhm.
and conditions, they have their own billing processes. Please get familiar with it because your customers will ask you about this, and you should definitely know because it's going to be charging your credit card or whatever method of payment you use. So, fair to say, the questions did come up after the stream around billing. So, I want to make sure we're not messing with anybody's money here. And again, the guy here talking is I'm with High Level. I've been here for about a year. I get to work with folks like Haplin. I get to hang out with folks like yourselves in the chat. Our customers, our customers are awesome, and it's an honor to show you this new feature that our amazing product team, product developers, back end support team, everybody is learning about and getting good at. So we could serve you, so you could serve your customers locally or across the globe.
Sounds good. And my name's Haplin. I'm going to be the teacher for today, your maestro. I'm part of High Level's product marketing team. I have been digging deep into the Google Ads Manager inside of High Level for the past couple months now, getting squared away to be able to be fully empowered to coach you guys on it, to show you how to get the most out of it and how to get the most out of the High Level ecosystem with Google Ads as your foot in the door. Former agency operator who scaled to 6 figures a month and had a bunch of tech issues that were fun and interesting problems to solve, but High Level just kind of obviated all of that back for us and our agency back in 2018. And I've never looked back. It's been the main tool in my toolkit for marketing purposes along across a couple different use cases. And now I'm super happy to be joining the team directly and getting into more and more and more of High Level's growth and development and sharing it. I've had the privilege of being able to coach and help quite a few digital businesses and other digital agencies with tactical implementation. And I just really like using software to get quick wins, big wins inside a business. I think a lot of businesses are using software wrong, and there's a big opportunity to use it right. And I also think the software landscape for business is changing. We're in a big, big season of change, extended season of change even. And it's really fun and interesting and challenging and motivating to navigate all that. So I'm happy to be helping you guys get a lay of the land when it comes to this whole Google Ads thing. We kind of already asked this, but if you have just joined us on the stream, we know we're super 2 minutes into this, to this technically, so we have lots of people still coming in. If you just got here, please let us know where you're from, city, state, country. We just want to hear from you and make sure that you're active in the chat. And yeah, let's move forward. Why listen to us? High Level's doing pretty well these days. We've had a great growth trajectory, and at this point, this is all end counting. I'm sure that these numbers are all higher, but we've had the privilege to be able to serve over 80,000 marketing agencies, 1.5 million businesses underneath those agencies as their end clients, 622 million plus leads, and almost 15 billion conversations. That is really, really wild. And so, yeah, High Level's got a lot going on, and Google Ads is the latest and greatest in terms of like the bleeding edge of product development here. As I mentioned yesterday, on the product side, we are always just pushing out new features, and today we get to focus on some of the stuff that is High Level's bread and butter, stuff that does really well, and it's actually going to expand and implicate a lot of potential change beyond just Google Ads. So I'm excited to get into that. But alongside the High Level software, we have a phenomenal community of support and lots of resources to help you guys succeed. Particularly if you're on a new High Level account, if you're on a trial right now, head to this link, this green link at the top, speak with us slash live walkthrough. If Jordan can share that in the Facebook chat, at least that'd be super helpful. But speakwith.us/live walkthrough. That is going to redirect you straight into a Zoom room where you will get on a live call with our team. It's called a kickoff call. That's a one-on-one call where you can go over your specific use case, what you're hoping to get out of HighLevel, make sure your account gets set up right, get your hand held through all those important steps. So that's that. And then we also have a full-on course accompanying this workshop called the Paid Ads Playbook. It's absolutely phenomenal, and I know that because I made it. And it covers Google Ads as well as Meta and a couple other lead sources as well as the rest of the marketing ecosystem. Some of the stuff we're going to go over today. What do you do with those leads? How do you organize them? So on and so forth. So that is like the course version accompanying this live version. I highly recommend heading over to gohighlevel.com/paid ads playbook. That will take you to a university that has quite a few different playbooks spanning a couple different product areas in HighLevel to help you get the most out of it. But this one is following the paid ads playbook. That's the relevant one to this one. So that is that. And beyond just these two resources, you're a part of the HighLevel community right now. So whether you're watching in the Facebook group or on YouTube or on LinkedIn or any of the other wherever else we're streaming to, I don't know. But particularly in the Facebook group, we want to make sure that we hear from you in there. Post questions, struggles, whatever. We've got a great community of marketers and agencies that support each other. One of the reasons HighLevel is doing so well is because of folks like you who join the community and promote the success of other folks in the community. It's a team spirit, it's a team effort here. And one of those things also is like the ideas board, right? The way we develop products here is based on democratic approval. So we actually take votes on this thing called the ideas board and take the things that people like yourself are most desiring. Our CEO or COO, they're in the group, they're aware of the sentiment in the group and the pulse on the ideas board. So I know that yesterday, some folks very rightly pointed out that Google Ads Manager still has a couple of features here and there that most of them we're already aware of and are putting in as quickly as possible, as Google Ads is the most new feature that we pretty
And,
much have to offer.
and that's what I
JB,
love
were you gonna
about
jump in?
this.
Yeah.
That's what I love about this, Haplin, is that we launched something, and if you forget to put your elbow pads and your knee pads and you jump on the skateboard, you better get ready to get some scrapes on you, right? I mean, that's the most powerful part of what we do. And I think that segues us in perfectly of the lead gen and nurture part and how this all comes together. See, when you put that playbook together and when I went through it, I try to put myself as a student. And my call to action for all of you is get in the playbook. You may know what you believe, you may know more than others, more than us. It's okay. But if you could take a look at that playbook, you experience it from a different point of view, there might be a nook or cranny that didn't fit into your mind at that moment that helps you help your customers. So
Hmm.
we're building things up on the ads manager. We did it with the social manager. That's gotten improved. We're doing it now with the Google Ads managers. We're getting more API and more access, more flexibility. I mean, people just don't get to make these tools and get them up and running without responsibility and permission. So our experts are working on that. But we want to now talk
Yep.
about, I want to point the finger at each of you tuned in. And if you're not sharing where you're from, then you're not involved in the conversation yet. Get in the conversation because I know you're going to have some good ideas and some best practices to share with us. But lead nurture and lead gen are so important. If you're not getting customers in the door to serve, then you're not making money from it, and really, you're just doing this as a charity. And I don't mean to be too direct, but I want to be very direct here in the sense of monetizing this tool is why we put it in HighLevel. We offer the rebilling and we offer the enable and disable and making it convenient for you and your customers. So if you're ready to monetize the feature, let us know in the comments below. Let's monetize. Throw in the comments below, let's monetize, and let's get Haplin excited about running through the steps that you need to take today to get your first 10 appointments to sell this to somebody. And you can sell it to your customers, great, but sell it to 10 new people as well. start building upon that monthly recurring revenue. So Haplin, I you're in control of the slides here. So normally I would just kind of go all over. You kind of got me like, in a tough position here. So I'm gonna say, you mind clicking that button on me real quick?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's rock and roll, man. So I'm gonna keep an eye on the comments. I'm gonna do my very best to not interrupt you while you're going through the technical end of this, because you know me, I'll jump in and I'll tee up some questions. So if you can give me like a good 10 minutes to make sure I get everybody's questions answered and organized, we'll do a quick Q&A thereafter.
Sounds good. Okay. So yeah, it's all to say we are right where we want to be, and it's our definitely our style to push these products out and then solicit feedback from you. So if you're in the group, if you are have access to the ideas board, make sure that you're an active participant there because that is the driving force behind all of product development here. It's our secret sauce is that we ask you guys what you think high level needs, etc. So we are going to continue on forward here. That said, I've had the privilege of, like I said, being involved in the Google Ads Manager for quite a while, ran a case study that is documented on inside of the playbook. And yeah, I'm going to show you everything that I know. Yesterday, we actually learned how to set up a Google ad, and we discovered just how wildly easy it is to do using HighLevel's ad manager. And then I explained how that's really actually only like 5% of a business's success. A business that thinks they need to run Google ads or wants to start doing paid, there's actually, it's like the tip of the iceberg. The tip of the iceberg is the Google ad itself or meta ads or any other paid source, etc. And the top of funnel stats only paint that much of the picture of the success. The rest of the iceberg, all of the sales and marketing mechanisms and the marketing ecosystem that underlies, underpins, and supports those ads and makes sure that folks convert, that's what high level is actually really, really, really good at. That's what we've put our whole reputation on. And that's what I'm going to teach you guys about today. Today and tomorrow, tomorrow's tracking and reporting, but today is really making sure that what happens when somebody actually clicks the link on a Google ad is good. We want to make sure that that's just the beginning of the journey. For most Google Ads agencies, it's like, all right, once we got them to click on the ad after they searched and it came up as a paid result on Google, that's like the end of the journey, right? That's a success. They clicked, that's good, right? No, that's just the beginning. And high level makes it really easy to and I'm going to show you how that really is just the beginning because there's so much more that we can and in 2025 need to be doing after that. So let's get into lead generation and nurture. Step one is we want to generate leads slash sales. And we have high level at our fingertips to be able to do this. So once somebody clicks the link on the ad and heads over to your or your client's website, they're going to land on that website. And what's going to happen after that? What's their experience of the website? We're going to need to think through this strategically and make sure that we are trying to drive folks into becoming leads. The main way to do that is with forms and surveys, but we also have this beautiful thing called the chat widget. We have calendars, and then we even have other ways of generating leads that aren't relevant to Google Ads per se, but I'm just trying to expand your understanding of the platform. We can do all of this with Meta lead forms if we're running ads on Meta, TikTok forms, LinkedIn forms, Zapier, and webhooks. So I'm not going to go super deep on all of these, but we've got a great form builder inside of High Level where you can plug a form into a website. I highly recommend doing this alongside a standing offer and having that be either one of the main or maybe the main call to action on that website. If you're trying to turn clicks into conversions, into leads, into conversations, then what you want to do is embed a form on that site and incentivize people filling it out so that once somebody is searching for gym near me or fitness near me and they see your search result, just like we set up yesterday, they click on the ad. We want to hit them in the face with this beautiful offer, what we call a standing offer. Free 10-day pass, right? Claim your 10-day pass, right? We want to put that front and center of the website and then have a form that they fill out in order to get that free 10-day pass. So this is more about marketing strategy. High Level has all the tools for us to execute that strategy, but you really want to think through what's the next step down the pipeline. We got them to click on the ad. That's great. Better than them not clicking. But if they click and then go away, then it was all for nothing anyways. We need to make sure that we capture that lead. So we're going to do that with the form. We can do that with but we can put forms inside of funnels, and we can even run ads to funnels. Chat widget. This is a huge one. Embed a chat widget on the site so that alongside the form or whatever other call to action you might have, there is in the bottom left-hand corner a little chat widget pulls up another method of lead generation where folks who are interested in engaging us can ask a question, etc. And we can have either AI manage this all live. We can have them leave their name and number inside of the chat. And then it's basically like another lead generation mechanism. We can get into SMS from there. There's a couple different ways to do it with the chat widget, but highly recommend in 2025, every business needs a chat widget, needs some way to encourage website visitors to engage in conversation, to take the next step toward building trust, building confidence and commitment and momentum along the sales pipeline. So these are some of the tools we have to do that. Calendars, just like forms, except it's a calendar, right? So I'm going to blaze through this for right now, but you can embed a calendar on your website, a calendar widget. We also have the full calendar technology inside of HighLevel on the back end you can use to book conversationally. So that's a quick overview of like the literal mechanism for how we're going to capture leads. We're going to use a form, pretty straightforward. Let's start building momentum toward what we do with those leads now. Organize and nurture. We want to create a pipeline, add leads to the pipeline, converse with leads to nurture. And to do this, we are going to learn about workflows. So lesson time, that's in green. That means it's time for me to share my screen and
Well,
or
while you're
oh,
doing that, I just want to do a little roll call here because we do have a few faces. Shout out to Joe Richardson. This is his first workshop, so no pressure, Haplin. We got to deliver. We got to
okay.
deliver for Joe. We can't. Joel Richardson. We can't lose him from coming back to the next one. Mayher, this is the link right here. So there's no private group link. You could just jump in here and tune in on Facebook or YouTube. We got Nashville, Tennessee in the building, and Annapolis, Maryland, Connecticut, T. Santiago, Mayher from Denver, Tammy from Maryland. So welcome. Thanks for joining us, folks, here. We're going to be getting super techie here, so I'm kind of warming y'all up for what we're about to experience. Diggy Web, thanks for showing us support and jumping in from Australia. Victor from Seattle, Washington. Ryan Hummel from Puerto Vallarta. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful place to call home. Martina from Wilson, North Carolina. Chris from Canada, thank you for joining us. Evil from Indianapolis. I mean, I don't know if you're getting the hint here happen, but we got people from all over, which I believe that the benefit of that is that everybody has a friend in one of the states throughout the country or outside of the country. So you should be able to connect with each other and say, hey, if you're running ads, do you mind sharing how that's going for you? And even like what I love about these chats that we do here, these live chats, is that you can just jump in a few days later. Hey guys, I got a quick win, or hey y'all, anyone have any questions or any feedback? So um, we got a lot of great people, man, and all that to say here that I see you have your screen up and running. Let's walk through what we got.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, like I said, two parts. We're going to create a pipeline and then we're going to talk about filling that pipeline and moving folks from stage to stage. The first huge area that it is an absolute game changer with regard to high level tech to succeed with this is opportunities. And opportunities, if you don't know, this is a visual layout of the sales process for you or your client's business for this sub account. So I have an example, Jack's Pipeline 1, 2, and 3. Let's build this out a little bit further, actually. Let's go to Jack's here. And what I want you guys to do is think about the sales process for any given client. If you don't have any clients right now, just think of your hypothetical client, someone you might like to work with, someone, a business you're familiar with, one you frequent as a customer, perhaps. I am going to continue with my example from yesterday of fitness because I know fitness pretty well when it comes to sales and marketing. So let's call this Haplin's fitness pipeline. And what I want to do is just map out the most important steps of the sales process. What needs to happen in order for somebody to become a member? Typically, it's a membership we're selling in fitness. You might have different words for your customers, etc. But and even folks in fitness, they might have different approaches to this. There's no real right or wrong answer. There's, more and less helpful stages to have, but you can have whatever you want. But I might think of this as like new lead, a new form fill on that website. That's the first step. And then ideally, I know we want to be reaching out and following up with these leads in the context of like a free 10-day pass offer, like I was just talking about on the website. I know as soon as I get that new lead, I want to have them come in to actually activate their 10-day pass. I'm going to take them on a tour, take them through my whole sales pitch, etc. So that's how that goes. And so then I know at some point the tour stage or the appointment set is going to be a big one. But even before that, I probably just want to reach out and hear back. So I'm going to go to do a responded stage, and then I will set this appointment stage. And then I'm gonna think what might happen after appointment. I mean, ideally, people will just join. So if I want to simplify this, they have the appointment, then we close them. The stage, the pipeline could end right here. I'm gonna add one stage for no show, just so that I can have kind of like maybe somebody doesn't show up to their tour and I want to track that somehow. You can do whatever you want here though. So this is fully custom. You guys might be in other industries or whatever. This is where if you don't have confidence in mapping this out the way that I am right now, you want to make sure that you talk to your client or talk to an expert in that industry to get a sense of what the sales process is actually like. Because trying to do marketing without knowing what sales is going to happen is like is disastrous. It's not a good idea. You want to make sure that you understand the rest of the sales process so you can properly support it, because ultimately marketing only succeeds when sales succeeds, right? So this is like a basic idea of a pipeline here. Just think through, put your thinking cap on, think through the sales process and the most important milestones that you want to measure, who is getting to what stage, etc. But don't overthink it. We don't have to, spend all day on this. It's just, we can always change it as needed. You can continue to optimize, but having this in place is really, really helpful, because now we have this beautiful visual representation of the sales process, and we're going along these steps. Am I mirrored? Is this right to left? Yes, or left to right. So we've got new lead, responded, appointment, and then no show is kind of an odd duck, but I'll talk about that more in a second.
And here's what I'll say with this, folks. If you're not techie, this is overwhelming. Even though it's simple, it is overwhelming. But let me be specifically clear that what you see is what you pay attention to. What you see, what your customer sees, where value is built, where you start to refine and optimize what you're doing. If you don't have a pipeline, and I feel like, when I was using other big softwares in other enterprise environments, it was overcomplicated to me, and I never used it. And I was always behind the eight ball because I was using pen and paper. I was using Notepad. I was using Excel sheets when the system, when used properly, feeds into other parts of the system. So the biggest takeaway here is that everything starts with your pipeline, from the lead coming in, from your ad, from your customer's ad. The pipeline gives them the visual of where it's at, and then also triggers where they should be next. So I want you to look at all this
Mhm.
as micro moments in the sales process. If you think that someone is going to just give you their credit card, without any explanation or any details, well, then you got a great offer. Share that offer with us, right? That's a great offer. We want to know what that is, right? But if you are new to this or your customer's new to it, think about it as you have a personal trainer that hired you. Hey JB, I want to get more personal training clients. I left the big fitness center I used to work at. I'm doing mobile personal training. I want to get moms and dads between 38 and 45 that are within the Durham area, and I have flexibility where they could book a time. I give A, B, and C. Well, let's run some Google ads. Let's run some Facebook ads. We turn it on, and now we have traffic coming in. We have the landing page. They fill in their name, phone number, email, and where do they go? Well, if you don't set this up right, they're going to go into a black hole, because it's happened to all of us.
Yep.
You need to make sure they're in the pipeline, because you're going to notice you'll have multiple pipelines. So a bit of a tedious long tail point I'm trying to make here, but this is something that's overlooked a lot, and we hear it and see it from several calls and from several bottlenecks of why ads don't quote unquote work for people. The ads
Yeah.
work. It's the customer journey that you haven't developed yet. This
Yeah.
is the secret sauce, as Haplin mentioned.
Yeah, so many businesses get this wrong, straight up. In my experience as an agency and talking with other agencies and whatever, it's like the dominant narrative. One of the most common stories is you get a client, you land a client, great, you turn on ads, oh, you're stoked, you're making money, you're gonna make them money, whatever. And then a month or 2 months in, your client's letting you go because they say, well, maybe your top of funnel stuff is great. Maybe you're getting a great cost per click. You're getting on the Facebook side, maybe you're getting a great CPL, you're getting leads, etc. All these top of funnel stats that you're so focused on because you're a Facebook ads agency or you're a Google ads agency, whatever. Next thing you know, your client's letting you go because they don't feel the impact. They're like, I don't know what's happening here. We're not making any more sales. Our sales the last month to this month are the same, right? And there's no measurement down the line. There's no understanding of how this is actually impacting the business. You're not demonstrating the actual end result, the impact. The client isn't feeling it. They just want to pause, right?
Yeah.
It happens
And and
all the time.
and
Yeah.
Hapla, to your point, the perceived indifference is the reason why people cancel.
Yeah.
You might believe that things are going great, but they don't feel that way and they don't see it. So they perceive that you don't care about their business. There was a gentleman that I've had a chance to meet with and be part of his program for some time. Maybe a friend of some of you here, Josh Nelson, but that's like the biggest thing he says. Perceived
Mhm.
indifference is why people cancel. So let's make a commitment together, folks, as we move on to the next step here. Go ahead and type in the comments below, pipelines are king. Pipelines are king. Because if we don't jot it down with our fingers, if we don't write it down, the brain is going to say, oh, you're just giving me more mumbo jumbo. We're going to
Mhm.
push the mumbo jumbo to the side and we're going to commit to pipelines are king. And you need to start it with your business first.
Yep. Yeah. So this is truly like are ways around this if you're not using high level or whatever. Like the lesson here is that you need to be tracking leads and you want to make sure that you're pushing conversions at each stage, which is what we're going to talk about. The old way of doing things was a Google sheet. And even that would get you fired too because it's a little bit garage sale level. And even then, clients aren't necessarily good at following up with all their leads. When you put the onus on the client, hey, now it's your job to go make all these sales. Especially in my experience in fitness, the average gym owner is not following up with all the leads that you send them. So um, that's like a huge pain point in that industry and many of the industries that are the most popular in like the local agency space. So whatever niche you're serving, whatever kind of business you're serving, they probably are not going to do a great job. If it's a small business, if this organization has less than 30 people in it, they're probably not going to do a great job on their end of proactively doing everything they need to do to be converting those leads. And that's where high level takes it off their plate, takes it off your plate, kind of automates that process for us. So while we're making commitments here, I do also want to implore you, do not let yourself get overwhelmed by the tech here. If this seems complicated, then simplify it, right? Take the easiest version of your pipeline possible. If you're spending the next hour or two making a 16 stage pipeline, then either you're in real estate or you're doing something wrong. Real estate has a long sales process, so that's a bit of a joke, but yeah, just if you feel like this is already going to be too much, then just simplify it. Take the dumbest version of it. Make a two-stage pipeline. Make a three-stage pipeline. Even my four-stage pipeline is not too much going on. I could get rid of this no-show if I wanted, but just really use something that's going to be helpful to you. That the point of the tech here is to be helpful. It's not to overwhelm you, paralyze you, and then have you move on to some other shiny object next week, right? Nobody's going to get anything out of that. So keep things as simple as is going to be useful, pragmatic, and helpful to your business and to your clients' businesses. That said, now that we have our sales pipeline mapped out here, we are going to put this on steroids via automating follow-up and important actions to be taken to organize leads and contacts at every stage of the pipeline congruent to that stage. What does that mean, right? Let me just show you. We're going to learn about workflows next. So I'm going to click automation. And now this is the techiest part of the whole workshop, and I'm going to make it super simple for you. Create workflow, start from scratch. we have this beautiful feature inside of HighLevel called workflows. New lead, let's name it really quick. Every workflow is like automating actions inside of the platform. So just things happen automatically. They are your friend because you're going to be able to get a lot more done, leverage and scale so that it doesn't matter if your form or if your ads generate 1 lead in a day, 10 leads in a day, 100 leads in a day. You will be doing the same thing to all of them every single time. And it doesn't matter how many you generate, and it doesn't take any more effort on your part because it's going to be automated. Beautiful thing. There's two parts to every workflow. There is a trigger and an action. There can also be multiple triggers and multiple actions, but as categories, there are triggers and actions. The trigger is the thing that happens that kicks it off. What lights the fuse to the automation? The actions are the automated actions themselves. What do we want to happen when? So it's like an if then. The if is the trigger. If this trigger happens, then these actions happen. So the logical next step is to explore, okay, well, what are triggers and actions available? What kind of things can I automate? This is always changing, always getting better and better because it's the glue that ties all the different features, forms, calendars, SMS, etc. You're going to see how they all work together via workflows. And this is the awesome, if a bit overwhelming part. We have hundreds. I think there's about 100 triggers, but then even more actions, and they just show up as a list like this. So it can be helpful to get a little bit familiar with these things, and you can always search through. We also have this fantastic workflow AI helper that will basically teach you and or assist you with building. So you can just say, I really want to make it so that I follow up with my new leads after they fill out my form. And that is actually the next step. So this is the example we're going with. The first step in this, Google ad, click the link, land on the page, see the standing offer, fill out the form. What's next? Hopefully they're going to show up in that pipeline eventually if you're got your thinking cap on, but what else do we want to do with them, right? Well, this is going to help us. We have the trigger, a form submission trigger, delay. So this is basically just telling us everything that we need to do, and you can have AI that is trained up on the entire workflows ecosystem, show you how to do that. Super duper helpful, but because I already know, I'm just gonna skip that part. Tell you that the trigger that we want here is probably gonna be form fill. You could also do stuff based on other actions taken, but for most of us in the Google Ads context, they click the link, they see a contact form, an incentivized contact form with a great standing offer, a lead gen form, and then they fill it out. So we are going to say when that form is submitted, then we have to make sure we know that that form is. So hopefully you've built a form. I'll just use one of these tests here for now. Once they fill out the form that's on the website, that's what's going to be the thing that kicks off this workflow. So I'm trying to take it nice and slow just to make sure this makes sense to everyone. If you have questions about this, please put it in the chat because I will be happy to clarify anything about workflows and the way it all works. But basically, we're saying when this form fills out, then we want all these things to happen automatically. Now we'll move on to what are those things that we want to happen automatically. The first and most important, well, first I see JB, you're unmuted. Did you want to jump in there?
No, I'm
No.
trying not to interrupt here.
He's chomping at the bit. I can see it.
Yeah, the chats are on fire here, and this is intense.
Oh yeah, pipelines are king. I see a bunch of those comments. And Brian, truth about real estate. I've seen some very complicated real estate pipelines in my day, but from very smart people. So you can make it as complicated or as simple as you want. I have seen folks succeed with the complicated. I have seen folks succeed sometimes even more with the simple. I'm a big proponent of the 80/20 principle that we went over yesterday, and the dominant theme of my whole career at this point is that people actually tend to succeed more with simple as opposed to complicated. Even if the complicated is technically more sophisticated and more efficacious or whatever, just it's the way it tends to go. It's just the way that I've seen in my experience. People tend to actually take action. They get more motivated, and when it comes to clients turning on ads for themselves and being able to succeed with this stuff themselves, you want to keep it really simple. and it
When
doesn't
it comes to
usually.
simple though, can we just elaborate on simple with an example for our new friends that are joining in? Would you
Uh,
mind just clicking on that workflow AI? I feel like I talk to people about it from time to time, and they're like, "What is this?" Like they don't even know. Like we just added a bunch of new features on. And I know you know this already, but I'm just saying for everybody, we just added a bunch of new features on this. And our CTO Varun, if you haven't had a chance, and you may be brand new here, you may not be familiar with, our C-suite, or Sean Clark, Robin Alex, Varun. Um, Varun and his team, all his developers, leadership, they're putting a lot of focus on simplifying the easy, medium, and hard stuff. So that way your customers can pay a subscription for workflow AI and build their own workflows, or you can build them for them and charge a mid-ticket to high ticket. There is so much here that wasn't here less than 30 days ago. So, yes, Haplin is showing you how to push the buttons and go through the menu, but this here is a buffet that you just kind of put it on your tray and then take it to the end, right? Like you have so many options here to build your system. And I just want you to throw in the comments below AI plus HighLevel equals speed to lead. AI plus HighLevel happens like, all right, that's a new one.
That's a tall order.
I just forgot what I just said. AI plus HighLevel equals speed to lead. Speed to lead is what's going to get you either your next monthly payment from your customer or your next paying customer, because everybody wants it done for them fast. So speed to lead, speed to build, speed to success with HighLevel as your operating system. I'm going to look for those comments below, but didn't want to give a cheat code here, Haplin, for all my 80s babies and video gamers from back in the day. This was like the Sonic the Hedgehog, up, down, left, right, ABC start or AC start, one of those
Yeah.
things. It was a quick move, but it got you where you needed to be. And this is that cheat code that you would find on, a website or Game Informer, one of these video game books. So I hope that finds y'all well, because we don't want you to build excuses for yourself. We want you to build systems that remove excuses from you and your customers.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So speed to lead is basically what like a lot of what we're going to achieve here. We're going to achieve some other things too, and there's a lot that you can do. But in our case, like the huge win, the 0 to 1 change, the big impact is speed to lead. So we have this form submitted trigger here, and now what are the actions that we want to automate? We can automate all kinds of things, but the most important one is probably going to be send an SMS. So we've got send SMS here, and we can put anything that we want. So in my context, let's go with this fitness 10-day pass situation. Every time someone fills out my form wanting to claim their 10-day pass, I might do something like, hey, contact name. Hey, JB, I'm just curious, do you hear any background noise from my mic?
No, but is that a code word for saying that someone's playing loud music and you want to make sure that we're not hearing loud music?
Yeah, and or
I know this stuff is tedious here. So, look, y'all, sometimes having your computer on the side while doing this is very important. And, right now, Haplin is building this from fingertips to keyboard. But you could literally go to ChatGPT or any sort of AI tool and start to here's a fun tip I learned. If you create the project folder, at least in OpenAI, ChatGPT, it'll memorize and it'll be related to that content. You could start building out your folders for your customer journey. And then you're able to, at that point, be able to create uh, information, whether it's SMS or emails or whatever the case may be, to get to your customers. And that becomes one of the most important parts here is 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 the information that your potential customers receive, your leads receive. The experience is key. So let me know below. Um, and I'm looking in the comments here. There is some not just me, but there are some old school gamers here, which is pretty cool. Let me know below that are you using AI now to manage your messaging? Are you using AI now to manage your messaging? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're not, what's holding you back? Because one of the most important parts of what we're doing here is building out the cadences. The cadences are key. So now I want you to just think about this. All right, we're talking about lead nurture. We're talking about getting people to buy from me for my Google Ads campaign. Well, I need a campaign to attract local businesses. What does that look like? I need a campaign to attract coaches. What does that look like? I need a campaign to follow up for those that don't respond back. Right? So as you start to pick out these personas and then ask questions around the process, you get to start building out these. Now, there is also another cheat code here. We have recipes within HighLevel workflows that are preset for you. So again, I am a little bit more of the in the weeds kind of person. So I will invest 30 hours on building this stuff out, but it's because I don't want to do other stuff. I don't want to do other stuff. Don't fall through that trap. The time is not what gets you paid. It's the efficiency of the tools that'll get you paid. Because you could build all this out tomorrow, and then we could do one major update and it throws everything off. So remember, you want to build the system to solve the problem at its minimal viable necessity. And then at that point, you can add a remix to it, right? Happen you're back.
Yes, I am back. So, thanks for your patience there. We got a SMS. That's the most important thing. We can also add like some pieces like a wait step. This is super nice. So that it's not like right on the nose. Maybe we just have it wait like 30 seconds. Or actually, if I want to do 30 seconds, I need to do 0.5 minutes. So there's some, other little pieces that are not necessarily the actions, but help make sure the actions are timed properly, that they only fire at certain places. There's if else. We can split the flow into, into different little segments. Let's do is not empty just here, just to show you. So based on conditions can send people down one set of actions versus another. And then, yeah, a couple other things we can do. But let's think about, in this case, what's another important thing that we want to do. We want to add them to the pipeline. So we have opportunities here, create update opportunity. Every time someone fills out my form, they're going to go into that pipeline as a new lead. And I can even put in the value of the potential sale in here. So $100 a month if they stay 10 months, that's $1,000 for a new member. So there we have like a very, very basic piece of this. We could do after this SMS, we could then wait for a couple days. Maybe we wait for a day and then follow up the next day again. So this is in case they haven't responded to the first one, haven't booked their appointment yet, etc. So let's go, hey there, first name. Want to make sure you get the most out of your 10-day pass before it expires. When works best for you to come by, etc. So we can keep on building this out. They can get as complicated or as simple as you want. I recommend keeping it really simple and only using the stuff that you know is going to be helpful for driving leads, down the sales pipeline. And this has successfully kind of taken care of that first bucket. So if we go, example, let's name this stage 1, new lead. Now let's go back to the sales pipeline, and we have this sense that when somebody lands in this bucket, they're going to get that workflow. So the workflow is kind of associated with the bucket. That you don't have to do it that way. They're technically separate features, but it can be very helpful to be able to just kind of think through the workflows that are associated with each stage in the bucket. Then we would go through and we would do this for the rest of the entire pipeline. What else do we want to happen when somebody responds? First of all, how do we even measure that somebody responds? Well, we can set up another workflow for that. We'll call this stage 2 responded. And we can do something like customer replied. Replied to workflow. There it is. So when they reply in that other workflow to one of those other SMSs, I could do remove from that workflow so that we don't keep on following up with them. Another workflow, and this will be that. So we'll take them out of that workflow. We'll have them move their opportunity. When you do create and there's already an opportunity there, then it just updates. So it's the same workflow action, whether or not there's a pre-existing opportunity. We move them to the next stage. We can also do internal actions like an internal notification, either in-app or SMS or email. So that's really nice for like notifying a salesperson, etc. We can do email actions themselves, of course. And so that's another follow-up channel, super popular. And then we can even do a call step. So we can automate calls, and you might be wondering, well, how do you automate calls? What happens when a lead gets to the calls step? So let's just add it. When a lead hits this action, then what's going to happen is HighLevel is going to call out to the client, to the business, in this case, the gym. The gym owner's phone rings. They're like, oh, I'm getting a phone call. Okay, they pick up, and it's the HighLevel whisper message saying, hello, you have a new lead, press any key to connect. Or, it's time to follow up with your lead, press any key to connect. The salesperson or your client hits the button, and then it bridges the call and dials out to the lead. So if you wish that your clients called their leads more often, you can actually automate that process in HighLevel. So now all the client has to do is pick up their phone when it rings. So it's passive on the client. They don't have to sit down at a computer and look at a big list of leads and start dialing it all. They just have to pick up their own phone when it rings and then bridge calls out to the client. And then when calls are missed, we can even automate the voicemail drop so they don't even have to do voicemails. We just upload that file, add that in here. Oops, we have to.
And while you're doing that, so I just want to clear up any potential confusion here. What Haplin is referring to is not outbound voice AI. What Haplin is referring to is the whisper, so that way you can accept the phone call. It's like a call forwarding, call transfer. So, it tells you, hey, this call came in, it calls your number. Do you want to accept the call or whatever the case may be? You're aware of it because then there's times where like if you're doing ads and you don't know who it is, you're thinking it's a sales call. So this whisper, you could actually customize the message for what the whisper is, and you should let your customer know what that whisper sounds like. If they're a gym in any example or any retail example, they should have it by their phone. Hey, if a call comes in and it says gym ticket whisper call or gym ticket lead or new member lead or whatever the case may be, um, they need to be aware because then they'll think it's just an erroneous phone call. So this is not outbound voice AI. This is strictly just notifying you that a lead came in.
Yeah. And some of these, the phone stuff and the email stuff, they take for granted a certain amount of setup that you've done. So I highly recommend getting on your kickoff call to make sure that you have LC phone connector set up, that you have your email set up. There are buttons you need to click to make sure that you have acquired a phone number and you can send messages from that number, that address, that domain, etc. inside of HighLevel. It's stuff you only have to do it once. Then it'll work forever, but we can hold your hand with that setup process is my point. So make sure that you get on your kickoff call for that. I will plug it again at the end of the call, I promise you. So we have stage two responded. This is pretty much mapped out, publish, save, boom. Now every time someone responds to that first workflow, they are gonna jump to the next stage and they'll get a call. I mean, I'm just using this as an excuse to demo different popular actions, but you want to put your thinking cap on and think about what are the congruent actions that I want to take for that stage. Oftentimes, the responded stage is just purely for measurement. Sometimes it's just, they respond, we update the opportunity, but we don't necessarily try to automate the conversation further. But it's a really great way to make sure that a salesperson or maybe we just notify an internal employee at that point or something, just back end organization and administration to make sure that, out of 100 leads, if 15 of them respond, they just go into their own buckets, the hot lead bucket, easier to keep track of and to know how many people are actually responding to that message, right? So responded isn't necessarily the biggest deal, but the next one certainly is. The next stage we have is appointment. First of all, hopefully when they respond to that first message, it's asking when do you want to come by. Hopefully we're going to get to them to a date and time. We can have humans manage these messages and book people in super easily. When we generate a contact, they're right here, and we can have their whole message thread with them inside the messenger, and then we can just book their appointments with the click of a button. We can also have conversation AI actually handle all these conversations for us, set up an AI bot that can actually do appointment setting as well. So it's pretty dang cool over in AI agents. Obviously, the more we get into this, the more expanded the view becomes, and we could really get off into some rabbit trails. We have entire playbooks on AI agents and AI employees inside of HighLevel, so I do recommend checking out those product areas, checking out the different content that our amazing team and myself have made to help make sure that you're empowered with them. But we're going to try to keep things a little bit more razor focused. What happens when somebody books an appointment? We set up a workflow. So we're just going to continue on. And in this case, JB mentioned this, but we also have a recipe area that is just like the most common workflow use cases. Certainly, a new appointment is one of these. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, appointment confirmation. We don't have to do the review request. Oh, let's just do the appointment booking part. Okay, perfect. So here's the new. Why is it suddenly? Oh, that's to generate an appointment. Whoopsie. Hey, look, I'm learning things too. This is wild. Appointment confirmation, this is the one that we want. So the trigger for this one is typically an appointment being set. So we have that as a trigger. We can specify which calendar, we can filter based on a lot of different things, etc. But
Can
what's
I
going
share one thing, Haplin? This is my personal experience, man. Calendars always throw me off. And you would think because I work at high level, how is that possible, John? Right? Like there's not like this secret book, right? That says, this is the way you do, calendars. I'm sometimes, folks, I'm learning from you in the groups in a unique way, which is use case. Go ahead and type in the chat for me, use case. Use case is powerful, right? Use case is powerful, and here's why. See, my imagination, and again, this could be based on experience. This could be based on attention span. This could be based on industry excitement, right? Who you're working with, who you want to help, all this jazz. But use case is powerful, and the hindrance of the use case is the creativity. So use case plus creativity equals success. Use case plus creativity equals success. And let me give you an example of how to unlock that use case and creativity. Goes back to AI. Even as a company, we are focusing on using AI to speed the efficiency and the experience we give to our internal staff and to our customers. And you should be as well. Let's say you're working with a dog groomer. Go into ChatGPT or whatever AI platform, right? We don't endorse or co-sign any particular one. Any AI platform that accepts questions. Type in, I want to market to dog groomers. I don't own a dog, so please understand that I may not know the perfect questions to ask, But marketing a dog groomer online, can you help me create a persona guide of what I should be aware of when talking to a dog groomer owner? And that will then create a response. And then the goal of that is to then say, I'm using HighLevel and I want to create a calendar for my dog grooming client. What are some use cases of a calendar for them? And maybe that then says there is a initial customer use case. There is a biweekly, monthly dog walking or dog grooming use case. The biggest takeaway here, folks, is asking your AI tool, what are some types of ways to use HighLevel or go HighLevel calendar features to serve your persona or your client type? And that is where the power of the use case and creativity comes in play. Then now it's actually building it. So then you go back into the workflow builder or you go into whatever chat GPT or whatever feature you want to say, how do I build this in HighLevel calendar features? And knock on wood, most of the times, it actually tells you what to do step by step. Like for me, I get confused with the timing. Do I do a 25-minute gap? Do I do a 10-minute buffer? Like this timing thing could throw everything off. You jot it down to what you want, and it'll tell you step by step how to do it. If you've experienced that, or if it's just isolated to me, you're not going to offend me. But I know I can't be the only one that has. I'm like like word problems. I'm not good with word problems. You want to throw a word problem at me? I'm done. This is like a word problem, Haplin. Like calendar, if this, then that, then where, then what? I don't know. I'm just not going to use it. That's how I
Yep.
look at it. I'm just not going to use it. I don't know. I'm not going to use it. Don't do that because that's how I learned the hard way.
Yep.
Help me in the chat below. Let me know if you if this makes if this strategy is helping you see a little clearer. Because you could be stuck in the calendar for 2 hours trying to like put what side do I put the batteries in? Right? Or well, where do I put the wires in? Right? No, you shouldn't be like that. But here's
Yeah.
why it could feel like that because it is custom to how you want to use it. This is not a cookie cutter. So, what happens going over with workflows is not cookie cutter. He's building this from scratch. Same with calendars.
Yeah, that's a good point. This is like so industrious. Use AI and like JB just said, like I said earlier, don't let it become overwhelming. There's a temptation to let things become overwhelming so that way you can get caught up, blame the computer and go off and do something else with your life. And
Blame the computer.
you know,
Just remind me of one of those Giphies where the guy throws the computer off the desk.
yeah, totally, totally. And there's a lot going on in here. This is the most complicated part of high level. It needs to be very, very high performing because there's a lot of people that use this for a lot of complicated things. But that doesn't mean that it needs to be complicated in order to succeed. Again, the most successful workflows that I have ever seen are ones that look just like this. There's just kind of one stream. We're not getting off into all these different branches. This is a simple appointment reminder sequence. So the appointment gets set, we send a confirmation, we wait until 24 hours before, and we just remind them about their appointment. We're just trying to get them to show up, right? This isn't rocket science. This isn't the most complicated thing in the world. If you're starting to worry about the complication, go back to the pipeline, get rid of workflows altogether for now, and just go back to the pipeline and just think about what are the things that you would like to happen at each stage of that pipeline. Start with what you want to achieve, and then just use high level to achieve that. Going all through high level and spending hours learning about all the different things that high level can do isn't necessarily going to help you get closer to what you need to be doing. So start with what you need to be doing and then just use high level to accomplish that. Keep it really simple and keep moving forward. I'm gonna pick up some steam here because we're basically at the end of this. You guys kind of understand this now. This is automated process. We haven't done a single thing that requires any manual input, whatever. Once this system is set up, the form fills, they jump right in here. They respond to a message, they jump right in here. They set their appointment, they're gonna jump right in here. There's no person on staff who has to be managing leads from stage to stage, updating statuses or any of that. There's opportunity for that, and you can complicate things a little bit further. And we'll talk more about statuses when we get into tracking and reporting tomorrow, because there are some reporting elements that are already baked in, super easy to see in the reporting tab. We'll talk about that. But in order to get what, in my opinion, is the most valuable pipeline, like congruent tracking for Google Ads in particular, you want to make sure you have the pipeline set up and all of the leads moving through basically in an automated fashion. Because if you can achieve that, then not only are you going to be able to maximize conversions, but you'll have perfect reporting for your client stage by stage, which is really the holy grail of what we want to achieve on the reporting side. So that's basically the lesson here. I am going to, ooh, where is my trusty PowerPoint here? Let's get
If you
back into
could,
the slideshow.
yeah. And then I got I'm going to throw in the chat here some answers to the questions that maybe Jordan has already answered here. I'm looking out for some new ones. Um, but I'm going to let you, just kind of bring us home here. And if there's anything else you need me to jump in, I don't know what happened to my camera. It's back.
Yeah, there you
I'm
are.
here to, yeah, there we go. It's like a little Houdini trick here. Now you see
Yep.
me, now you don't, but I'm back. All right.
Yep. So here we go. This is kind of wrapping it all up. I showed you guys what it looks like to build a pipeline and to build some basic workflows. Now we're going to talk about the takeaways. This is clearly actually about more than just Google Ads. Hopefully that was at least implied by some of the stuff. But once you have a pipeline set up and you have workflow automations nurturing every lead, now you realize this certainly applies to leads that come in from Google Ads, but it also applies to organic leads. It applies to other leads. Remember this whole, oops, where we this whole list, right? It applies to meta ads if I'm doing paid on TikTok or LinkedIn, or organic anywhere, or if I have things that aren't even digital marketing related. If I have a QR code on a flyer that I pasted a staple to the telephone pole and people are scanning that QR code, then this applies to the entire sales and marketing ecosystem of the client. Once you have that pipeline mapped and it's effective and you have good nurturing, good messaging and or automation, whether it's in the messaging or just in the organization, or making sure that the lead is well situated, well taken care of in that pipeline stage by stage, you've plugged all the leaks in their sales bucket and in their whole follow-up system. And it's not just for Google Ads. Now it's like Google Ads is one source of leads. It's like a bucket we're trying to fill up with water, and Google Ads is just one hose. And that may be, trickling in, it may be a fire hose gushing in or whatever. There's all these other hoses, right? Every single different little digital marketing activity now just becomes a tool in the toolkit, consolidating down this sales funnel, this pipeline that you are helping your client deal with. So that is like where you go from just like $200 a month retainer Google Ads, and I don't know if I'm going to get fired in 2 months level agency, to like completely transformed this client's business who had no idea what they're doing, and now they are measurably getting 3-4x ROAS from multiple different sources, and have the organic ramping up, etc. Like this is where you can really make a big impact on a business as opposed to just providing one service. So clearly more than just Google Ads. And in fact, because Google Ads is so easy now in the platform, you can get your client into the platform and have them activate their Google Ads, pause and play on their own. And you don't even have to really get in the way of having them turn off their different lead sources. You can just have them make that decision themselves, game time in the ad manager. But they're on HighLevel, they're dealing with the opportunities. And honestly, kind of whether Google Ads are on or off or paused or ramping up or down, you're still going to be making a massive impact on their business by changing the way that they do all of their sales and marketing from every lead source. And that's like the holy grail of HighLevel services, and why so many agencies are succeeding with HighLevel, because they are they're like diversifying, right? Because when you just run Google Ads, then it either works or it doesn't. You get cut after a month or two. Even when it does work well, that perceived indifference, if the client doesn't feel like it's working well, then guess what? You just got fired anyways. But when you come in and get these kind of hooks in, it's very, very sticky. It's incredibly valuable, and clients really feel the impact of it, even if Google Ads as one source of leads doesn't all the way work. So this is really about marketing infrastructure and helping businesses leveling up that whole marketing ecosystem to take care of leads. This is kind of the conclusion here. This is what I have been led to believe, which is what we have seen in our community of high levelers who have really set themselves apart. Folks who come in as a Google Ads agency, and by the time they understand what they're doing with high level and the value that it's going to provide to their clients, they decide they're not going to be a Google Ads agency anymore. They'll be a digital agency for whom Google Ads is one piece of the puzzle. But the reason why they get away from Google Ads agency and that kind of positioning, that client acquisition positioning, is because it's continually becoming more and more commoditized. It's saturated. More and more people are doing it, and more people are able to succeed with it. There's people who are younger and better. All those people who spent 12 hours trying to find silver bullets on the internet, they're getting ahead of you, et cetera. High churn. We talked about client churn. Top of funnel stats, cost per click and number of impressions. Very hard to really retain a client and impress a client with those kinds of stats. Undiversified, risky. They either work or they don't, and if they don't, you're out. But rather they decide to be high level agencies, or just marketing consultants and or pipeline consultants, and or even if they're still a Google Ads agency, it's plus all these other different infrastructural resources, because Google Ads now for them is just one of the available tools. Their overarching infrastructure, they have their pipeline and their nurture set up to be able to take care of all these different sources. And they have AI employees, which is a very big deal. We didn't get super deep into that today. Certainly for managing conversations, it's really helpful, but there are other ways AI employees come in big time helpful for clients, particularly with actually answering the phone. So that's another lead source, inbound voice AI, that we didn't really talk about. I highly recommend checking out some AI stuff because it is very hot right now and still only getting hotter. It's been hot right now for like over a year now, but it's still, believe it or not, only getting hotter. So yeah, those are the benefits of doing things through high level, wherein Google Ads positioning wise is just so much safer, more effective, and better reporting and tracking, which is kind of what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So in conclusion here, your homework, if you have not been doing so alongside me already, then you should do this now, and or just before tomorrow. Take a little bit of time, get a journal out, get your notes out up. Feel free to pull up ChatGPT, as JB would highly recommend, and ask ChatGPT for help. Super, super helpful to use AI. Envision and create your first pipeline. Just map out those steps. Doesn't even have to be in high level yet. Just write them down, right? And then go into high level, build your first pipeline, watch this replay, go through the playbook. I show you how to do all that stuff, exactly what buttons to click to be able to create that pipeline. And then think through one or two methods for how leads are going to get into that pipeline. Probably one of them is Google Ads, right? This is the Google Ads workshop after all. But your client or your ideal client or your business may have other lead sources that it also leans heavily on. Do you use a lot of organic marketing? Do you do a lot of posting on Instagram? How do you get leads in there? Link in social bios, etc. So just put on your thinking cap and think about how leads are going to get into that, how they already are getting into that ecosystem, and how you can make sure that that ecosystem is properly set up in high level to make sure that you're maximally converting, you're connecting with every lead, conversing with them, organizing them properly, etc. And then set up your first nurture sequence. Go use a recipe. There's a really easy recipe for this that I will show you really quick. We in high level tend to call it fast five lead nurturing, because it's like clinically proven that if you follow up with a lead within the first 5 minutes of them engaging you, then you have a much better chance at converting them. This was like studied at Harvard or MIT or something like that. So we have this recipe called Fast Five. That is a great starting place. It'll just basically build this for you at the beginning, stuff that I already went over, email, SMS, the initial pieces, wait for reply for 2 minutes. And if they did respond, go here. If they didn't, there. So you can also just delete all this. I mean, honestly, it can be as simple or as complicated as you want. But that is your homework. Create a pipeline, think of your lead sources, and think of how to nurture them. Go click some buttons in high level, and we'll see you tomorrow for tracking and reporting and how to make sure that you are demonstrating the impact that you're having on your client's business. Because like JB said, it's one thing to get results, it's another thing to make sure that your client feels those results, that they see those results, that you can prove those results, because that's really what it takes. You being proactive about proving that impact in order to retain a client for the long term, make sure that you have a high level of trust with them, etc. So that's pretty much what I got. Here are the live resources again. I will leave this slide here so that people can make sure that they have access to the support resources. But yeah, whew, what a mouthful. I'm going to take a breath, JB. Take us home.
I thought you were never going to take a breath. Take
We
a
may.
little sip of water. All right, a little sip of water. It's a beautiful day. And we have a community of like-minded people in our sphere asking great questions. We're seeing new people make friends with each other. We're seeing the group chats. We're seeing the Facebook group on fire. We know that being a business owner, being an entrepreneur comes with its own set of fires. But again, if this was an out of the box, no problems, we'd be the best franchise or the best of the best billionaires because there's no friction. And every business has some friction. So as you're learning, as you're developing, embrace it because that's what entrepreneurship's about. And lastly, I want you to type in the chat for me to close us out. It is up to me to take action. It is up to me to take action. Action starts with me, right? And I know that we have folks here with teams. I know that we have folks here with partners. But if you got a 50-50 partner and the both of you are just doing 50-50 contribution, well, then who's doing the other 100% on the other side, right? You need to both be giving 100%, whether it's the tech or the sales, and then meeting in the middle on the plan. So take action. This is one small sliver of the big pizza pie that we have here. And Haplin has been generous to walk through this, and we have the ability at HighLevel to allocate resources. But yes, you have to take action. So if you haven't made your way to the swag store, I just picked up this new shirt, the Go HighLevel shirt. This thing was sold out for the longest. I got my little gift card for my anniversary, and I said I gotta get me a few of these. So I put a bunch on my gift card, and then I bought a bunch of extra stuff. They got some cool stuff on there. If you haven't seen some of the new swag, this is cool stuff to wear. But look, y'all, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing your perspective. Thank you for chatting back, and thank you for being our customer. Because really, we don't have a job here without y'all. And as long as you stay active, you jump in the playbook, you communicate, we're happy, more than happy to do our best to make you succeed. Till tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern, right, Haplin? Nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. We'll see you
No,
tomorrow at noon.